Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago family. Welcome back to Yellow is the Code program on UNC USA. I have with us here Senator Brian Big is taking a few minutes to join us. Senator Big, I want to welcome you to Yellow is the Code program. And we saw you
Great.
did an excellent job in the delivery of the home invasion bill. And we'd like to
Super.
hear from you, on your views of what's taking place in the country and how important this bill is really for our people. So go ahead, Senator Beg.
Hi, good night. Thank you, Gary, for having me. Yes, unfortunately, I just came out of a meeting where we swore in some party groups. So going to another one. So the party is also working while the government is working. The UNC party continues to work. All right. So yes, on Wednesday the Stand Your Ground bill came to the parliament. And I have to say that this is a very good piece of legislation for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I can tell you that.
Well, you know what? I mean, we feel very strongly about this because I mean, for the length of period that we have seen, home invasion and the continuous criminal activity in the country without they seem to be at free will. So we need to see something that gives citizens the right to defend themselves in their homes. We have seen too many instances where people have been, prosecuted or feel, that they were mistreated by the police in the fact of defending themselves. So this giving them the rights, to defend themselves is something that we very much want to see, and we
You see,
deeply appreciate that.
this bill empowers the people of this country to now stand their ground, where in which a person enters to your home and brings violence as well with it. There's no longer the issue to retreat. Sorry, I'm also battling a cold. And you have to know, and it allows you now to stand your ground and to fight back. And this is something, as you know, was a campaign promise and it has been delivered. We must congratulate the Honorable Kamala Prasad Visesa for ensuring that this legislation comes to the Parliament. But further to that, we went on a national um, campaign and we met with public, we did public consultations. I was in
Mm-hmm.
many of them. And
Mm-hmm.
every citizen that we met said they want this law. Every citizen that we met, many talked about who were victims, many who knew families who were victims. I myself was a victim. My aunt was a murdered person because of a home invasion. So this bill is needed. This bill is a must. And the nation knows how very serious we are with home invasions. So
But
when I hear our detractors, they come and talk. I have to say utter nonsense. I mean, I can use the words here. It's foolishness that they are coming with. They were promoting a narrative by saying we will that this legislation will affect certain type of people. Let me tell you something. A bandit doesn't care what is your race. A bandit doesn't care what's your social status. They're coming there for one purpose. And with this bill, the clauses are so well drafted. I mean, as a former legislative draftsman myself, when I worked at the office of the Attorney General, I have to say this is one of the best crafted pieces of legislation. Further to that, the clauses also shows, especially with clause 5 of the bill, where it shows where there are the penalties. It shows why some people are saying that they like the fact that the penalties are very high, and that because this is a government that is saying enough is enough, and we will take it head on to the criminals. Also, this clause also helps with the protection of property besides yourself. Further to that, there's clause 8 of the bill, where in that if you, Gary, you are being attacked by someone in your home and you are bawling out for help and I am crossing and I'm passing. So God, somebody attacking Gary. I jump in to help save you. That person, I am protected under clause 8.
Nice,
And if people
nice.
think, well, this is a cowboy style legislation, it is not. There's provisions in the legislation as well, where in which if you have to end up going to court, there are provisions that shows why you had to use such reasonable deadly force. So if the court is truly satisfied, then the court realizes, well, yes, you defended yourself. So this bill is an exceptional piece of legislation. I fully support it. I endorse it. I call on the nation. I also call on our persons who are living outside and listening to this and knowing about this bill and understanding what the bill is. Tell your families this is a bill to support. This is a bill to be there. So even if they live in the constituencies that may not have a UNC MP, but we went and did constitution areas that's not even controlled by the UNC. In Arima is not a UNC constituency, but we went to Arima, and Arima said with one voice, we want this bill. So I hope I was able to put some things in context there for you.
Thank you very much, Senator Big. The
I have a
other
look.
aspect of things. Go ahead. You have something to say, Suman. Go ahead. Suman Singh. I have Suman
Yeah,
only. Go ahead.
Brian Big, I listened to the debate and I listened to your outstanding presentation. I was deeply moved by it until I heard the comment from the opposing side, who said that this basically in a nutshell is discriminating against his constituents. He says that this legislation discriminates against his constituents. That is Portespain South, Scotland.
Well, that gentleman, if I may, I don't mean to cut you across, but as a man who I have deep respect for as a senior counsel, give me a second. Yeah, sorry about that. That's how the life is. And for him to say that, the PNM, only when they have nothing to say, they go on either race or they go on fearmongering. I mean, that is disgusting. A man who I have great respect. Nonetheless, I am a practicing attorney at law. He is a very senior practicing attorney. In fact, he's an SC, especially in the criminal law arena. To come and to say that means that you have nothing more to say. And then I listened to there was a member thing from Lavender, and he said, well, a man come in my house, I take my phone, but he leave the SIM card on my pillow. Well, okay. And he just say, well, this happened. But you should have been the one person. You should be the one person of all those MPs in the lower house that should have said yes to this bill. Because in fact, you were a victim. And you lived to tell the tale. I mean, I lived to tell my tale. Unfortunately, my aunt didn't live to tell hers. That's why I dedicated my contribution to her. I mean, the PNM, while they talk this foolishness, I am not surprised. While they come and they talk this form of stupidity, I am not surprised. And it is ridiculous at the highest level. Always is that the PNM knows for a fact that between 2020 to 2025, home invasions was on in the increase to the point where it was becoming most prevalent. And I mean, it is ridiculous to hear what they have to say. Because they scoffed at victims, when victims made, you had the former Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, when he was talking about when they brought this home invasion to him. He scoffed at it. He said those are one-off incidents. One-off incidents from 2020 to 2025? It is ridiculous. Gentlemen, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, my meeting is about to start. So let me just say I'm thankful for having me, Gary. Sorry I can't go further.
That's okay. You could join us anytime again, Brian. Hope you feel well. Thank you very much for taking
Yeah.
the time.
But what I
And
want to say, and I want to tell you all, in just 7 months of this government, we have done more than any government for the last 10 years. We got rid of the TTRA. We are the Children's Life Fund. We increased it. We were able to bring about the Children's Hospital. We, the PSA and the public servants, we have delivered on our promise to them. We are going and we are doing more, and we are going to continue. This bill is, as I said, was a manifesto promise, and it is coming to be. All I say to my people, hold some strain. Good goods will come. Stand with us. Stand with your Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa Senior Counsel. I say to you all, a pleasant good night. Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
thank you very much, Senator Big.
Thank you.
And thanks a lot.
Sure,
Take
sure.
care.
So, gentlemen, you heard it from Senator Big.
Well said. Well said. Gary, one important video, we should show that video that you showed previously there with the 3 kids that got killed by the
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm going to I'm
that's
going to
a very
load that.
important video because you can't get too emotional, right? And then we'll pick it up from there because we could be faced with that same situation in Trinidad, right?
Many times, that has
Many
happened
times
many
over.
times.
And I think it's a good learning tool to let people know that, hey, regardless of what, when you pick up an illegal gun, right, you give away your rights. Yeah. When you pick up an illegal gun and decide to go into a man's home and violate his space and his family with the intent to use violence at any magnitude, you have given up your rights, right? And now he has the right.
Cross that gate, when you cross
Right.
that gate,
Correct. And now
That's
he
it.
has the right to take full advantage of that situation, right? And that, the law complements all of that and take it to a next level where it actually works and protects the victims.
correct.
You know,
All right. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
someone comes into your home, there's no time to think, about the law and where what should I do. Someone I know, the Senator Faris Al-Rawi mentioned something about squatters. We're missing the point there. This is about my home that I built, my 4 walls, and I have a door that I lock it when I go to sleep at night. You come in there, and you're not invited, right? And you break into my home. I have every right, and the law should protect a squatter or any person out there. It is their home, right? Their space. So whether you're renting or you're leasing, you have it is considered your personal space, and no one should be able to violate that.
It's back
Right.
to the same first amendment in common law. Your home is your castle. Period.
Correct.
That's it.
Correct.
That is your in
Right.
common law. That's the first thing they start off with. The home
Yeah,
is
yeah.
your castle. You're the king there, so you have the right
Yeah.
to do whatever you wish.
When
Whatever
a man,
you-
yeah, when when someone breaks into your home, right, and you shoot him, and the police comes there, the police is gonna go and say, hey, where's the lease or the rental agreement for this property? You should be asking me that question. You should be looking at the evidence, the physical evidence. The door is broken. The door has been breached. You breached my gate, right? And you're inside my house and you're dead. How you got there? Right? Did you fall from the sky? No. Right? You broke the law, right? And the law was enforced. You stand your ground, law, right? He has a right to protect himself. So
But
yeah,
can you see what was the existing law before this standard ground legislation? See how biased it is against the rightful owner of the property.
it's as though it was written for the criminals.
That is the
protect
point,
them.
because if I find someone in my house, I cannot shoot him. I have to aim for his leg or his arm. The force must be equivalent. That is what it's saying. But when somebody in the night, break down your door. How to start with? You don't have a light on. I will fire shots at all different angles. I don't care,
Correct.
right? So I don't know whether the guy back is towards me, his front pointing a gun to my face, and I don't know.
So my
Well, you have to get a gun with the light on top where
I
you
know
can
the one
attach
that
the
tried
light.
to hit that one, the
Yeah,
little red
yeah.
light.
Yes.
yeah,
Well, not only red light, there's a flashlight with it also.
yeah.
In
I'm
fact,
working
yeah.
on it.
Anyway, let me play this video here for a second.
Son only tried to rob you, and you took his life. That was an abuse of force, Chandler. You must pay for this.
A military veteran has been charged with murder after shooting and killing 3 teenagers who broke into his home. The parents of the teens are now demanding that the court sentence the veteran to death. According to police in Georgia, the 3 masked teens showed up at the veteran's house around 3 p.m. They kicked in the front door and entered the home to rob it, unaware that the homeowner was a former soldier. The veteran opened fire as soon as they entered. One of the teens fired back, triggering a violent shootout. A neighbor, startled by the gunfire, immediately called 911. When officers arrived, they found all 3 teens shot multiple times in the head and chest. Paramedics pronounced all 3 dead at the scene. Later, family members confirmed that among the dead were 2 brothers, ages 15 and 16. After the autopsy report revealed that a total of 28 bullets had been recovered from the teens' bodies, their parents were furious, calling the homeowner's actions beyond excessive. They insisted the shooting was brutal and demanded that prosecutors charge the veteran with murder and seek the death penalty. The homeowner, however, maintains that he acted in self-defense and that his life was in immediate danger. Under Georgia's self-defense and stand your ground laws, authorities determined that his actions fell within the bounds of lawful self-defense. This veteran once fought to defend his country. Now alone in his own home, he fought to defend himself. Do you think this was justified self-defense, or did he go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments.
How often we have seen that in Trinidad? Forget Georgia and any other place. How often,
Yes.
how many times have we seen where people have houses have been broken into, and most of the time they didn't have a weapon to defend themselves, but their wives, their mother, their 80-year-old mother was being raped in front of their face, right? While you tied up with young people at the same age bracket, right?
And
Go ahead.
Gary, I when I got my provisional license, I started trading and stuff in the range in for north here, right? And the gentleman, very well respected, wealth of experience, and he taught us, you know, everything that we need to know about the firearm, and even during a home invasion or someone trying to breach your home and stuff. But you know, one thing I always recall, he said one day to the group of us, you have to be ready and to have that in you to be able to shoot 14-year-old child.
Mm.
Because he has a gun and he thinks he's playing a video game, right? The day these kids are on these video games, they're shooting all sorts of stuff. You have to have that mindset to be able to shoot a 14-year-old child. And everybody was silent. Because what he said is that if you cannot do that, you are going to die, right? So this video, the kids were 15 and 16-year-old. And one of them had a gun. And were firing shot. There was a shootout in the house. He shot, fortunate to say, he was a soldier, a military person with experience. He was able to take control of that situation. And he stopped the threat. He didn't stop a child when he stopped a threat. That is a threat now. Right? You have to see it as a threat. Again, if you start to think twice there or for 1 second,
So
you're going to be
would it
dead.
have been okay for him for her kids to kill the man in his house? That would have been good for her. What
I
choice
think
did he have at that time? What
he had
choice
no
did he have?
choice. He had no choice and he had no time to think. All he saw was a threat. Once you break that man door, you break that door, You give up your rights, okay? And you have to face the
So
consequences.
some people think that their children have the right to do that,
But you see, let me give you a classic
but
example.
some people have been reaping the proceeds, so that's why it's
Correct?
okay too.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Gary, in 2011, when we did the laptop project, I wouldn't mention the name of the school, but it is in Laventille and was one of the first schools the Prime Minister went and gave laptops to. So I worked in the Ministry of Education as the director of the ICT. And I say, hey, we're coming to your school to deliver. Prime Minister coming to. He said, wait. Telecommunications department, they contact TTPS. You'll need escort. You will need escort to come to my school, meaning police protection, to come to the school to give out their laptops. And the Honorable Prime Minister did go to the school, did go on the police escort from the, and he said when we're leaving, he said he will drive us out. He will escort us on the way back out. So he know the community, he knows who is who, the bad guys and who they are and so on. But to tell it, imagine that is 14 years ago. Could you imagine how many
Now,
of
can
these
imagine now.
kids now would have graduated from little petty thefts to more serious theft to serious crime, criminal activities?
How are these kids affording to get military grade weapons? Right. Right. I mean, we know that we had a very open border, right?
Well, my people, doubles and coffee.
Take a look.
Going
Take a
out
look.
to do some banking. Look how y'all are so well protected. Rowley says guns, illegal guns are coming in and wants to blame the United States of America. Look at all your naval assets, all of your vessels parked up here, none working. 13 vessels parked up here, not protecting the borders. The border open. Guns, drugs, illicit activity free, because Fitzgerald and Talbot Hines and Rowley are in charge. And this is a joke. Media, you don't come out and do it. You don't show us what should be done. You don't make solutions. You leave the PNM with the incompetence. And news breaking out of Bahamas as we're talking about Fitzgerald and Talbot Hines, Keith Christopher Rowley, that Brent Thomas, the citizen who was abducted in Barbados on
Okay, gentlemen. So today we've seen our Prime Minister has been severely attacked for requesting a radar to be set up in Tobago, right? But we just saw all our vessels under the PNM park up in Stobers Bay, Chagaramas, right? And young people was able to acquire sophisticated military grade weapon, raiding people's homes, shooting up the place. I mean, how many drive-bys did we have in the country so far? They were either shooting at each other or robbing somebody's house, you know, killing the victim, raping the victims. We had some kidnappings, right? But that is okay. That is okay for this shameless PNM that came in the Senate, that came in the Parliament, to defend this kind of nonsense. Go ahead, gentlemen.
And just to reiterate, Gary, right? The young people with military grade weapons, right? AR-15s and stuff, 5.56, you know. I mean, high velocity
Just imagine getting hit
projectiles.
with a 5.56 rounds. We have seen people head split open in Trinidad.
Your body cannot absorb that energy. It could take a 9mm and stuff. You could take about 2 or 3 shots. a high velocity projectile, and like it's gonna explode when it hits you. The amount of energy,
Scattered.
you know,
Yeah.
right? The survival rate or the probability of surviving is very low, right? And we have people running around there. They have firepower to hold off the police, right? You have a couple guys with this 5.56, AR-15s. The police can't contain them, and this was allowed to fester, as we saw with that classic example there with these 15. Is it 15? Correct me if I'm wrong. Coast Guard vessels sitting idle there. What are those vessels doing there? Are they in need of maintenance, repairs? Are they functional? You
No,
know,
the problem was they said there was no diesel.
I mean,
That was the problem.
how simple is that to fix? Or is it deliberate to allow certain movement and transaction of goods back and forth through an open border?
I mean,
Right,
we've seen these boats that the U.S. is shooting out of the water, right? And mysteriously, there are fishermen on the drug boats. But do you realize how quickly these little boats can move from Venezuela or anywhere in South America and come across in and out of a border, right? And they left our borders totally open. They were boasting recently about this Israeli-made radar on the top of the San Fernando Hill, but really everything passed right through that radar because I mean, based on the results that we've seen, everything passed through the radar, and obviously you had no boats to respond. So apparently, this was done by design, right? Come here to boast and condemn the Prime Minister for seeking help from the U.S. to improve our border security.
Well, maybe if I had a vested interest, then I would ensure that those boats are sitting there, right? Or that radar is not functioning and that border is open. If I had some kind of vested interest, Gary, because if
No,
you put
we
the
have
pieces
to-
together,
And mysteriously, the scanner report got backed into by a forklift. You know, what are we stupid? Right? But you could have 1 million scanners on the port and the borders wide open for anything to come in and out. We had too many persons gone missing from the country without a trace, right? And the borders were completely closed and COVID came in, right? The borders were everybody was locked out of the country, but COVID came in. How did COVID came in? Delcy and the Venezuelans and all their relatives will come in and out of the country while borders closed. So tell me now, how COVID came in? The borders was locked down. Let's listen to Senator Cook Mayhew in the Parliament, in the Senate.
I rise today in defense of something older than Parliament, older than law, older than even the state itself. The God-given natural right of every human being to defend oneself and one's family, to feel safe in one's home. For too long in this country, the scales of justice have been tilted grotesquely against the law-abiding. This is not only unjust, it is immoral. For decades, we protected the rights of criminals more than the rights of victims. This bill corrects that unjust imbalance. No other government in the history of our country has kept and fulfilled so many promises, not only in the entire term, but in just 7 months. I heartily congratulate the Honourable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar for having the vision, the tenacity, and the determination to stick to her word, bring down murders by 46%, and bring an unprecedented level of safety to Trinidad and Tobago, immediately after experiencing the highest murder rates in our history in the years 2022 That's 603 murders. 2023, we had 575, and 2024, 624 murders. This is astonishing. This is nothing short of miraculous. And we must appreciate this historic achievement. When we go back in history, we see that the American colonists, the French revolutionists, the Haitian revolutionaries created the basis for our modern world because they realized that God Himself, not governments, not kings, God Himself had given us natural rights.
Fortunately, we have Dr. Mayhew joining us here. Welcome, Dr. Mayhew. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Are you hearing us? Check your micro. We're not hearing you. Yeah, we're still not hearing you.
This olive oil or
Yeah. I don't know. Something's wrong with your mic. Check your mic, Kirk. We're not hearing you. Check your mic. Kirk, we're not hearing you. Oops. Ken, can you point to your ear and tell him we're not hearing him? I'm not sure. He's frozen? Is he frozen? Okay, hold on a
Dr.
second.
Kirk, we're not hearing you. Okay, I think he's on now.
Yeah. Kirk? Dr. Mayo?
See if he's in the back door.
All right.
waiting to-
All right, he's on there.
Am I
Gary.
on now?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
you're on.
on.
You're on.
Okay, good. But I'm not hearing you all well at all.
Ken, you want to say something? You're not hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, Gary. I'm hearing you, Kirk.
I'm hearing you
Come on.
very, very faintly.
I am
Ken, are you
hearing
here?
you loud and clear.
Oh,
And my
boy.
volume is up. I'm trying
Yeah.
to see what
Okay.
it could be. Okay, let me try this.
Yeah, well, I'm hearing you very well. I'm hearing you pretty good.
So am I.
Yeah, speakerphone. Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, hi.
I'm not hearing. I think you are coming through my phone speaker and not the speakerphone, you know? If you understand. So I'm not hearing you very well at all.
You have a Bluetooth speaker?
No, I don't.
Could you try the volume on your
Yeah,
phone?
it says no, I don't want to use a headset. Default. The audio options. Hello?
Your regular phone volume.
We are hearing you very
Yeah.
clear. We are
Yeah.
hearing you very,
I'm
very
hearing
clear.
him very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see. Let's see.
Okay, hello?
Yes. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you.
Hi,
Right, I
hello.
can hear you. Okay, good. I think, yeah, I fixed it, so I'm good.
All right.
Good evening, good evening.
Evening. Good evening.
So, Cook, you did a marvelous job there in the Senate, and I just was able to upload some of the clips, and I really appreciate you sending it, and for you taking the time this evening to join us. I mean, this was a very critical bill that we needed passed in the Parliament, and thank God we were able to get that done. One of the things that we are very concerned about is some people are still pushing the idea. I saw an article. I can't remember the writer name. I had it the other night. Where they're pushing the fact that the commissioner alone should be authorized to issue the FUL, and that is not humanly possible with the workload and the demand. We need to break it down into a municipal sort of structure.
Yeah, I can't remember what the figure is, but it's in the tens of thousands. I think. I think I've heard 20,000 outstanding FUL. I mean, that is really not very feasible for one man to do by himself with all the background checks. So yeah, there are people and many of them who have FULs who don't want other people to get FULs. It's a very sort of paternalistic, liberal attitude where they think, well, I am responsible, but everybody else is not responsible.
But in the meantime, you have criminals who are running around the country without any guidelines, unlimited access to heavily military grade weapons, shooting up the place all the time. I mean, shooting at each other, robbing people. They have been given the upper hand, but they're fine with that. They're not rioting about that, but they start to riot the minute a law-abiding citizen gets an FUL.
That's right. And then when we install the radar in Tobago, so that we can detect, because now with the routes by sea being essentially cut off, the radar in Tobago is to detect drones coming in, light aircraft coming in, because they're now doing it that way to drop guns and drugs. So now we have enhanced capability to deal with that, and they're against that. They're saying remove the radar. Have you seen a picture?
But that alone is showing you what their position, and they are defending who. And maybe some of these people are benefiting from the legal trade that is coming across our borders, or they know someone and they are defending those people who are making that living that way. Now we've seen people talking about a fisherman was on the boat. Well, what is the fisherman doing on the drug boat? Is the fisherman?
And it is not confirmed that he was on that boat. Where did that story come from? They didn't. In fact, I don't want to belittle any tragedy, but first of all, one of the persons, and I'm trying to remember his name, Josh, I think it is. He is a nephew of Sandman, the drug dealer. He's on ammunition charges. He was in Colombia for months, and his family didn't know why he was there. And then they don't even know that they were on the boat. There's no evidence whatsoever to say that is what happened to them, that they were killed in that strike. So that is pure speculation. That is not a fact at all. They have been out, and otherwise fish prices are normal. Fishermen say they feel safer. They're going and fishing in our waters with safety and security. So there's no need for us to be out in international waters. And in fact, our fishermen have been harassed by the Venezuelan Coast Guard and Venezuelan criminals for years. Decades.
Yep.
I mean, even down in the 70s, when I remember going down to Chagaramas, they would tell us that you had to watch out for these Venezuelans will come and raid the boats and steal the engines and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the presence of the U.S. military in our waters alone, I mean, that deterred a hell of a lot.
Yeah, and the fishermen say so themselves. This is not us saying so. It's the fishermen. They appreciate it as well. And as I said, the drug prices are going up, according to the police. But the fish prices are not. So the fishing remains normal. It's just the drug trafficking is being affected. So we see it is having a real effect.
Definitely, we can see that in the numbers, in the statistics, and everything you mentioned today. 46% decrease in serious criminal activities. Murders. So I would like you, next time you're doing these things, to quantify it in real numbers, because apparently a lot of them, and when I say them, you know what I'm talking about, cannot identify what is 46% of what. So
Yeah. Well,
make it more.
let me see if I can pull.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, I think he got frozen there for a little bit. His internet got thing. But go ahead, gentlemen, until he comes back on. You could can
Yeah, can.
or Suman,
Yeah.
yeah.
So those are drastic reductions in the
Yeah, 46%
yeah.
of what? Say it will be more appealing if you say, 212 murders, it was reduced. We reduced it by that amount or something to that effect rather
Yeah,
than saying 46%. Nobody knows what 46% means. Of 46% of what? Translate that into numbers.
yeah. But it was a drastic reduction.
Yes. Yes.
From last year. Last year was a historic record. And I like
think
to emphasize that also, a historic record, 624.
24.
Now,
Yeah.
Suman, we have to take into consideration also that these numbers will go way higher because there are persons missing, close to maybe 100 persons missing, unaccounted for, and maybe presumed dead, right? So 624, I think that's still conservative. I think this is probably way over 700.
Add 80 to 100% to that figure.
Yeah.
And then you got a truer picture. Yeah.
So the PNM holds the record, multiple records, right? Almost back-to-back records. So yeah. And law-abiding citizens, we cannot have them sitting around like sitting ducks, waiting in their homes, waiting for someone to invade and violate their rights. We have to empower them. Yeah, go ahead.
Why do we not see these things in the media? But in the print media or the television, this is what I'm saying. This is exactly my point. We don't see these sort of good achievements that is being meted out to the population now than all we hear when PNM was dead, murder did that, history created the most, blah, blah, blah. And now there's a serious reduction, 45, 50, close to half and half. Yeah. And why is that not reported or highlighted?
Yeah.
And that is why I keep on saying, I think Dr. Megu should, looking at the numbers there.
Right. Okay.
Yes, that's great. That is what they need to see.
Yeah. That clarifies it there.
Yeah, you guys can continue talking until he joins back.
So but now I know the Guardian newspaper, they have a little section on the side there and they do the murder count. I think I checked it last time was 334 or something. Or something like that effect, or 333. When you look at the same period last year, right? From 561 to 333. That's not 40%, right? That is a drastic reduction. 2024, 2025.
Hello?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, did you lose me all that time?
Yeah, you dropped out.
We lost.
Did you lose me all that time?
Yeah. You sent me these figures and I told you dropped out. You didn't see the message? He's frozen again. Let me call him. Go ahead, guys, talk.
Yeah. So 381 to 206, same period last year to now.
Significant. That is significant, right? Man. 175 murders less.
Yeah. So that is 175 less. And we had to ask ourselves.
Right. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm
We
hearing
hear
Yes,
you.
you.
We
we
hear
hear you.
you.
We hear
Go
you.
ahead. Cook, your internet freezing for some
Okay.
reason.
So you didn't.
Your internet is
Okay, so
freezing
you didn't
a
hear
few
when I was
times.
explaining the
No. We didn't hear anything you said. You sent me these
Okay, okay,
figures, and
okay.
yeah. If you could repeat it, if you don't mind.
Oh, I was explaining it all this time, and I was talking to myself.
Never
All
mind.
right. Well, okay. Let's go back to the blue chart. Let's go back to the blue chart. Right. So this is the figures for the year showing that up to Sunday, which is on the 30th of November, we had 561 murders last year from 1st of January to 30th of November. And this year, at 1st of January to 30th of November, 333 murders. So that means we saved almost 230 people's lives from murder. That's 40.6% down. That's incredible. That we have never, ever had that before in our history. Even when we had the COVID lockdown and everybody had to stay home, they couldn't go to work, they had to shelter in place, nobody could leave the house, nobody could go out to eat, nobody could do anything. We still only had like 100 less murders, 170, I think, less murders for the year. I think it was like that was a 24% decrease or something. This is a 40% decrease. That's almost half. But now people were saying that, oh, well, PNM had a state of emergency. You have to thank the PNM. And what did you all do since you were there? Well, I mean, first of all, the PNM called that state of emergency because we pressured them to do so. For 10 years, they kept saying, no, we don't need it. Oh, no, that's a failure. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse up to the last 3 years in 2022, 2023, 2024. Those are our three highest murder rates in our entire history. So it was just getting out of control. And then when they put a state of emergency, it was working, but that was because of pressure from us. But if you go to the yellow chart, you'll see, okay, let's take it from when we got in government, right? So did the PNM do a better job than us? Let's see what the figures say. So if we take it from the 29th of April, the day after the election, up until the 30th of November. So last year, there were 381 murders during that time. But this year, during that time, from the time we went in office up to Sundays, 206. So that's a 46% decrease. That's almost half. Almost half. That's incredible. So even though there was a significant decrease with the PNM state of emergency at the beginning of the year, we made it even greater. We made it even faster. It's really amazing. So we're no longer in the top 10 most violent countries in the world. That is amazing. We were like stuck there. We were stuck there for the past, I don't know how long, 5-10 years. It was terrible. And we have now dropped out of that list. It's amazing. It's amazing. In under a year. It's really, really incredible. They say, well, what did you all do? What did you all do? As I said in the Senate contribution, well, we split the Ministry of National Security, that huge ministry, into defense, into homeland security, which for us means internal. For the Americans, it's abroad, but for us, it's internal. And also the Ministry of Justice to deal with the courts and that huge backlog in the courts. So we divided that up. Let me see if I could pull up my notes here. But let's see what else we did. Stop the funding of gangs in the CPEP and URP. So we did that. What else did we do? We also, one is showing political will in the face of opposition to everything we do, to stand their ground, to FUL, to putting radar systems. So you have to have that determination, because at every point, whether it be public opinion or whether it be public servants dragging their feet or you know, people saying, "Oh, we can't do that." We've been pushing through, you know, so that's very important there. Standing up for people's rights to self-defense, which is what we were doing in the Stand Your Ground legislation. We did that. Then also, you know, ensuring that we gave full, wholehearted support for international cooperation in fighting drug dealing, you know, in drug trafficking. So, you know, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar has taken so much flack, but look at the results. Look at the results, and that is what counts. It's incredible, and this has been the number one problem facing our country for 20 years, over 20 years, almost the entire 21st century, and now we've really broken the back of it. In just 7 months. It's incredible. It's really amazing. That's very often the number one thing that our people abroad in Toronto and New York and Miami and elsewhere, they don't want to come back to Trinidad because they're so scared of the crime. And well, this is amazing what we've done with it. Almost half. We've cut it down by almost half.
I mean, just in about 7 months, it reminds me when Basilev Pandey took power in 1995. I mean, in 6 months' time, there were drastic economic development taking place and the reduction of crime. And so, you know, I want to continue to use this channel as much to document the things that we are doing, so it does not go, you know, under the carpet somewhere. You know, just like all the 106 schools, they couldn't find the 106 school. You know, but we obviously we know our prime minister and our government is disrupting the criminal cash flow. I mean, you know, the people disappearing from our country across the borders is not happening where the U.S. Fleet is within our Caribbean waters there. I mean, so all the free flow of these boats, you know, has been drastically abrupt. You know, so obviously you're going to hear some people barking, which we should expect. You know, we should expect because we disrupted their business. You know?
Right. That's right.
So the elected representative who's barking for them is exposing themselves, as far as I'm concerned. You know, because they're showing exactly what they're representing. You know.
I want to talk about the political will to get over this, right? Because you know, Kamala Persad-Bissessar talks about, you know, Kamala 2.0, because previously, you know, when there'd be pushback, you know, she might want to, you know, calm all the criticisms, but little, you know, but that was on the assumption that they meant well, but they actually don't mean well. And when you understand that, then you have to, you know, be determined to stand up against all the criticism, all the noise they're going to make, you know. And you know, we remember, you know, when we kept saying about, you know, the murder rates going up and how this is intolerable, and we passed 400, past 500, past 600, and people aren't feeling safe. And Fitzgerald Hines, you know, said, no, it's not my duty to ensure that people feel safe and secure. Or Rowley would say the government cannot control the minds of citizens. They kept saying,
you know, that was amazing. That was an amazing response from him. To say it's not his job. So why did we elect a government? What is your job of the government? If it's not your job to make us feel safe, maybe they didn't understand what their job was.
Exactly. They said crime occurs all over the world. I remember, who live, who dead. I mean, this is the kind of government that we had for the past 10 years. And of course, so they had no will. When things were working, they said, well, we tried our best, you know, that's all we could do. You know, totally different attitude.
And you could ask him a question, because you asked him a question was you could ask him nothing, you know.
Exactly, you know. So, you know, it's amazing, you know, what we've done in this number one problem facing our country. And then we have the economy. I mean, also the wages. I mean, look at the wage negotiations and settlement with the PSA. They were giving 0, 0, 0. They're telling people to, maybe shouldn't go to the movies anymore, to Movie Town.
Yeah, get a pole pot and get a bicycle.
Yeah, right. While
they're riding high. Yeah.
That's right. He's driving a Prado and he's telling you should ride a bicycle. He's never ridden a bicycle yet to Parliament or anywhere else, as far as I'm aware. I mean, these people are totally disgusting, And I mean, remember how Imbert would laugh at people selling bhaji and pumpkin? Laugh at people, of course, when he raised the gas prices.
Yeah, nobody rioted yet.
Yeah, and then he laughed and said, "I think I'll do it again." And he did it again. It wasn't a joke. He was laughing because he thinks it's funny to see people suffer. These people. So when the Prime Minister said she'll cuff him down, the whole country wants to cuff that man down. So. I mean, I don't know what he's so surprised at. He's been so
she
rude.
hit them a good blow for the election there already. And they seem to be suffering from Tabanka and the Bazodi, because the level of bold-facedness they come in the parliament, knowing the fact that he can't give us account for the billions of dollars missing, what he did to the Auditor General. I mean, the Privy Council said that the minister, remember that part, right? We mustn't let that go, that the minister should be held accountable for what he did there. Why are we not, dealing with that? And from Kirk, for far as I'm concerned, that DPP, something has to be done about him. That DPP there, something has to be done of him. That guy is not legit at all. He's not genuine and honest in what he's doing there. And he seems to be kind of cockeyed. He's selective on who he goes after. So we need to address that on that. We have a lot of work to do, as far as I'm concerned. The justice system has to be overhauled. Police force, we're just getting started because we still have the elements under, even though we have a commissioner of police there who seems to be trying his best, but at the same time, we have to keep an eye on them and make sure that the force is supervised and managed properly. Because, I mean, getting the FUL is one thing, but we need effective response and patrolling from the police. That we need that really, upgraded. The response, how they handle a complaint when people come to them for help. A lot of training is needed.
But to be fair to the police, I mean, you see a lot more arrests occurring. I mean, now the solve rate is now 33%. That's incredible. It was 7%, 8%, 9% for so many years. Now the solve rate is 33%. You're seeing when people are being kidnapped, the kidnappers are either being arrested or killed. We're making moves. I mean, and then even things like the pharmacy board and the whole drugs situation and the monopoly.
Yeah, that's a racket by itself. A lot of things has to be done there.
There's so many things, there's so many things that are wrong in this society. Parliament just had a sitting and called out the Exim Bank just now about the foreign exchange. I mean, there's so many things wrong in every sector of society. You see, when the PNM took over this country, they didn't want to change anything. They just took over from the British. They were a colonial party formed during colonialism, and they just wanted to take the place of the British. And they didn't even do a good job as the British. And instead, what they did is they turned everything into a racket. So everything in this country, from the time of the PNM, took over. And unfortunately, the DLP did a very bad job in opposition. And they allowed the PNM to get away with all of that. And the PNM created a state where everything was a racket, and everything in transportation, in school books, in hospital drugs, in anything you could think of. Anything you could think of, it was just a racket everywhere. And the NAR made the first move to try to clear it up. And they were having success. they had something called the Alexander Commission of Inquiry, which I think I explained to you on this program earlier. And then, and they got the Tesoro judgment. They got that going. They found out Prime Minister George Chambers asked for a blonde prostitute for his bribe payment so that Tesoro could make the billions of dollars. And then he was called out in the American court. And while the NAR was laying that debate papers in Parliament for debate, that is when Abu Bakr came in, shut up the place. All those papers are now lost. I've tried to look for it in the Parliament, and they say it doesn't exist. Volumes of documents on corruption gone, missing. That is the legacy of the PNM. All the corruption was Calder Hart and during Manning's time, and the waterfront and Prophetess Pina and all these things. Even Rowley had to rebel against Manning because of all the corruption.
Not forgetting O'Halloran. And then we had Calder Hart. So with all that money cannot be accounted for yet. So we still have a lot of forensic work to deal with, and that's why I told Boss Lady, I said, listen, no more nice anti-coms, We had to deal with them. And you see she's saying that she's coming on strong, I mean, she was mistreated, insulted, and all the kind-heartedness. So, this time around she has to rule with an iron fist, and who vex? Because the PNM, Rowley and the PNM never asked permission for nothing. I mean, they answer what they want to answer, you know what I mean? And they mistreated the people, and then, they act like, like kings, and they don't have to. So, I mean, what I see happen, we became independent, and our citizen did not really, absorb that citizenry.
Well,
we were still
they were
treated
brutalized by the
like
PNM.
slaves. They were still treated like slaves. The country was run between master and slave, and that's the PNM motto.
And the PNM stole elections. They put in the voting machines and they rigged the elections.
Yes, call them out. Go ahead.
They did, because in 1956 they barely won a majority. They had to fight with the colonial office to get the nominated members to be on their side. Then in 58, they lost in the federal elections. Then in 59, they lost in the county council elections. Then Williams vowed that he would never lose an election again. They put in the Representation of the People Act. They gerrymandered all the constituencies. They created the EBC to do that under their control, and they boasted about it. Even Selwyn Ryan has that in his books. And then they put in the voting machines. And then all of a sudden they got a 2/3 majority. After losing all those elections, then all of a sudden they got a 2/3 majority every single time. So, and then when they got it, when we finally removed it in 76, after so much protest, eventually then they were taken out with the NAR and so forth. But then what had happened is that, in my belief, now this is my theory and looking at the history, because when the NAR came into power, they did a huge cleanup of the voters list, and they got 100,000 people off of the list. They were dead people who the PNM would just have as fake votes. In Guyana, they were doing that all the time with foreign voters and stuff like that. That's how Burnham rigged elections there, and Williams and Burnham were good friends. Then when the UNC came in power again, they did another purge, and they took out another 100,000 people. Because if you look at the voters list, it says they're like 1 million and something voters. But when you look at our population, it's 1.3 million people. It does not add up in terms of the people on the voter
what we have
list.
to deal with, what I'm concerned about and what has done over the years, and we know, is CARICOM supplies voters for the PNM. CARICOM is the PNM Voters Bank. And people were brought into the country for vote for the PNM. People was brought in over the years and given an instant government job in Wasser and all the different companies. The government agency, whether it's the hospital, we had people and position who were not really qualified, and the discrimination, you name it, there's a long history of it.
And let's take the discrimination now. When the UNC came to power in 95 first, Then we passed something called the Judicial Review Act. Then we passed the Freedom of Information Act. All of a sudden, we could now question government decisions. Up to that point, we could not question a decision by the government in the courts. And then also, the government was not bound to give us any information at all. And they also had only one TV station, which was under their control, and two newspapers, and I think 2 radio stations. That's it.
And we had limited airtime for Indian
That's
program.
right. Yeah, they didn't.
We were
They had a ban. Yeah, they had a ban on the opposition for a while as well to appear on the TV. Now, when the UNC put that, well, the NAR opened up the media, and then the UNC opened up the courts with the Freedom of Information, with the Judicial Review, with the Joint Select Committees. All of a sudden now, this is how Anand Ramlogan appeared. He was a young lawyer at the time. You could see he was, I don't know if he worked with Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, but certainly him and Prakash Prasad were like the young, they were in their 20s.
I think he worked a little bit with Ramesh. I think he worked a little bit with
Yeah,
Ramesh.
yeah. And they obviously followed in Ramesh's footsteps. And when that new legislation was placed, Anand Ramlogan single-handedly made a revolution in this country. How many public servants now were able to use judicial review, were able to use freedom of information to find out how they were, and the Equal Opportunities Act. That's another thing the UNC had put in place.
Their hiring practice was very prejudicial, and bold-faced discrimination.
And Anand Ramlogan made an entire career of showing hundreds and hundreds of people being discriminated against, bypassed in the public service.
You mean the police force? I mean, for promotions and things like that.
Teaching service, everything, the public service, the police, and he has made a career of exposing that corruption, and it's always been under the PNM. It's always, and if you look at it, UNC lawyers have always fought for the people, always fighting for squatters, always fighting for people who have been discriminated against, always fighting for the people who the state has been oppressing. And PNM lawyers, it's always the people getting state contracts, the people defending the government and getting big money to defend the government for doing their wrongdoing. So just like with the divers, the divers who died, all the former Prime Minister Keith Rowley, all his friends got the contract, millions of dollars, while they didn't even pay the families as yet.
The victim families,
yeah. So
they made
really
money. Their whole thing, they made money. How much they spent? 11 million or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that correct? 11 million, around 11 million.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's something around like that. Yeah. So it's total chalk and cheese, And for commentators to say there's no difference between the two parties, that is so disgusting. Just come out and say you don't mind the PNM being in power. Don't come with this lie that both parties are the same. Both parties are definitely not the same. If
you had to say you don't mind the PNM being in power after these, what we have seen in these 2 sessions, I mean, you don't like yourself, but you don't like your people, and you don't like your country. If you like the fact that people can't get proper medication, if you like the fact that your citizens could get locked out in a pandemic, instead of we making room to receive them and to secure them, and bring them home as quick as possible, we had the airlines, we had all the means to do so. We had the support if we needed to move in a military way to set up, how the U.S. military set up a hospital in a tent and everything. We had the secondary schools closed. So there's a lot of options, and they wasn't taking no advice. It was all Stuart Young. No minister could back, but everything was all Stuart Young. I'm not done with this guy, Kurt. I'm not done with he yet. I'm not done with it. We can't let them go. And what they did to our citizens, even there's the racket with this with the Ministry of Health, and how this whole pandemic and the COVID and the medicine and everything, we have to deal with them. We have to deal. I know we're making some progress, And we want to give all the support to our prime minister. There's a couple of things we want to discuss off
Well,
air with you, also.
sure. One thing I could tell people is that I just today set up a WhatsApp channel, and on that channel I have all the news stories of the things that the UNC are doing every day. Every day there's like 20, 30 stories on things that the ministries are doing that it's very hard to talk about all the time because it's so much we're doing
Yeah.
every single day. So you can check out. It's called the UNCPRO broadcast channel on WhatsApp. So you can
Right.
go there and make sure you keep up to date on all the things that are going on
Yeah,
there.
I'm hoping that we could get some of the university students to volunteer with our communication team. I mean, this channel is available. Anybody, I send them a link within 5 minutes. They could assist you with, covering outside Parliament or some kind of thing, or interviewing a minister. The channel is paid for. All is free and access to our party. In within a minute, 2 minutes, I send you a link, and you could get some young person to just kind of help you. Broadcast what's happening. So we want to work towards building our communication team, and this will be good practice for those who would like to go into that kind of work. I mean, it's a good opportunity to build their media
Okay.
skills. You know what I mean? So they
All
could
right.
practice on this channel. It's available for them. So if we could recruit some students, from the youth arm, or things like that, the channel is available. All you have to say is send you a link, and we're good to go. But I want to be able
Okay.
to cover us on the outside Parliament, or when there's something going on, or even yourself when you're ready. It doesn't matter. What time of the day or where I'm at. I can always put you live, and you do whether it's a 5 minute, 10 minutes thing you want to do, just to give an update. So we want to be able to do the updates as much as possible and give as much coverage to the party, so that everything is well documented and known. Broadcast.
Okay.
We want to keep broadcasting it in these people's face. So, gentlemen, you have any questions for Dr. Mayhew? I know Suman. Listen, Suman has some concerns of how the PS thing operates. Or the PS
Longevity.
yeah, well, able to kind of stall the ministers. So because he went through that in 2010 to 2015. 2015.
Okay,
Go ahead, Suman. Go ahead. Say what you have to say.
yeah, Kirk, hi. I'm one of the UNC lead analysts, and I came back to Trinidad recently, permanently, to see how I can help.
All right.
I did the laptop project, which is Kamala's pet project in the Ministry of Education in 2011, when we were getting some serious pushbacks from the then permanent secretary and AO5, AO4s, and so on. And Dr. Gopi Singh called me into, and single-handedly, I catch up 3 months of work, and I delivered the project in time. I did 6 months of work in 3 months. And
Right.
with all the pushbacks we had in the ministry, and you have to think Ministry of Education is 42 directors there, and what Dr. Gopi Singh will tell me is, what, you have 23 PNM party groups, and out of those
Yeah.
directors, 23 of them are PNM party group chairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a Faisal boy myself, I decided to help him. And we did the project. I did the project, and the previous year it cost 84 million. I did the project for 54 million. I saved $30 million in the project. And
Right.
I got additional software installed in the computers for free because I knew the Microsoft reps in the island and so on, and we were able to get a lot of free additional software and so on. But
Very good.
that is one as well. But I came back. After the 2015, I left, and I came back recently. I did 5 of the manifestos, the current manifestos, which is assimilated in the manifesto now.
Mhm.
And I also recommended we set up a Ministry of Technology and AI. And lo and behold, the very next week, when I emailed it directly to the PM, and she was my ex-classmate as well at IRE, so she sent me back an email right at 3:00 in the morning to say that we're going to do that. I'm so happy that they did that because I'm a technology and AI guy myself. So I came back to assist and so on. Anyway, I'm finding great difficulty in trying to meet anyone who can assist what I'm looking for. I'm willing to help, but apparently getting negative, I will say, feedback from departments, ministries, and so on. Look at it, not even a response. And, recently, Gary, we did that paper. What is our main goal? Our main goal is to ensure that the UNC continues for the next term or next 2 terms. That is our focus.
Or forever, because we don't want no return on the PNM. But a couple things about
this is a very important point. In Guyana, do you see what happened to the PNC? They are not even in opposition anymore. We have to make that happen to the PNM, right? It has to be that our grandchildren, our grandchildren have to be reading a history book and saying, "What? There was such a party in Trinidad? What? How could we ever have had such a party ruling us in Trinidad?" Thank God we've moved past that. We need to get another opposition to take the place of the PNM. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, well, that's going to happen next month in Tobago because I live and work most of my life in Tobago. So I was the director of tourism and the first economist, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, our goal
in terms
is
of
to make sure
your issue and in trying to get in touch with people, maybe we could talk about it offline instead of on air.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Let's talk about it offline.
Yes, that's exactly what
I mean, the ministers obviously are very busy. There's a lot going on, and there's a million people in everybody's ears all the time. It's just very, very difficult to sort through and this and that, so we could deal with that off air and see how we could.
Sounds good. In fact,
So link up with Kirk on the ground there. We also have Ken, who is an engineer here, and we have submitted some work. I just want to show you real quick. If you could look at the screen there, Kirk. There's some recommendation we made to our Prime Minister and the Minister of Works, and I sent it to Minister of Transport also. Let's see here back. But Ken, you want to tell them a little bit about the causeway and what we're talking about here?
Kirk, how are you doing? Kirk,
all right.
The traffic congestion in Central. I live in Central, and these roads, they have outgrown the capacity. Have outgrown these roads, right? So we're looking to expand on the existing network, to alleviate or reduce some of the traffic and increase the capacity. So what Gary and I have been talking about, and now we came up with a schematic design here, right, is constructing a causeway. Now this will be done in a multi-phase approach, right? We're looking to expand some of the road networks by exploiting some of the alignment, some of these agricultural roads, right? Also around the the Diwali Nagar, right? I mean, this space is like a gridlock. When trying to get in and out there.
I know. I live in Central myself, but just for your foreign audience, I just want to interject here too. What we call a highway here is like a regular road in America. It's like 2 lanes and 2 lanes.
Yeah, it's like a route. It's not my highway. Yeah.
If we had an American type highway or Canadian type highway with an express lane, Dr. Capildeo talked about this in the 60s. He was saying how you should have an elevated highway, just like in downtown areas in New York, in Toronto, in many places around the world. You have the expressway on top and the collector lanes below. he was proposing that in the 60s. And then, of course, the PNM, so backward, they laughed at him. They called him a mad scientist. He was talking about, blasting a hole through the mountains to go through the North Coast. These are normal engineering things that are done around the world in every civilized country. But in Trinidad, they say, you're mad. And he had this, they labeled him as a mad scientist because of that. It's incredible. But if we had a 4-lane highway with collectors and express lane or 8, all of a sudden you'd see we actually don't have a traffic problem in Trinidad. It's really a problem of the road networks, and you're right, and I'm in agreement with you. And Jerlene John, as Minister of Works, has been looking at this as well, and in her revitalization plan, she's doing that. So this definitely would be something ideal for her to take a look at.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is like along the Gulf there, we go straight up into the water park and even City Gate, and you can connect back to the Butler Highway. If you see like those yellow marks there down by the like Sumaria Trace and Felicity area there in Charleville.
Is that an expressway with no exits?
No, there's not exits. There exits.
There will be exits there at some critical points, some critical roads.
So what I told Ken to do was to design when you exit the causeway, right? That you don't come to a full stop, but you wrap around. So when you're getting up the highway, you're not stopping and create a congestion. You're just kind of looping into the other highway.
Again, let me just. I remember when I first visited Martinique in maybe 20 years ago or something, and I couldn't believe every single intersection they had along the highway was this 4-leaf clover. There's not, and they're so much smaller than us, but that's France. Martinique is actually France. So they build according to French construction and French standard. Yeah, and there's no reason why we can't have that type of infrastructure here. Even in small Martinique, they have that. We definitely need those things here.
Definitely. But the idea also in Central is to do something like a beltway that goes around Central, right?
Yeah.
We have it in the United States here. We have the I-95 will run into the 295 and move around the town. So anyone who heading from north to south and they could actually go around the town on the beltway and not have to go through the town and make it mix with the local traffic.
It's like the ring road in London as well.
Correct.
Beltway, Atlanta is similar.
But also, Gary and I, we discussed a ferry. That little red box that you see in there on the Gulf, that is the ferry terminal. So that we could connect the San Fernando, Chaguanas, Port of Spain water taxi. And have a big park and ride. So people don't have to just drive and converge into Port of Spain, right?
Yeah.
So again, we take away some of the capacity from the roads. So it's a multi-phase project that that can be easily expanded upon. And
I think that's something that Minister John should really take a look at.
I said it to her. PM has it also because these are ideas I discussed with her leading up more than a year before the election. And because I reminded all the things I was saying before. So now the Gulf. We want to see the Gulf development. You see that video that that Jolene John submit there with that development. So what I was talking to the PM about is like how we develop the Gulf, the entire Gulf, right? So some part will be for tourism, some part like going towards Point Lisa will be for the industrial part, and so that cruise ship idea, I wanted to bring it more into Central than Port of Spain because I want to pull away the congestion from Port of Spain and kind of bring in the cruise ship more into the Central area so that they could disembark into Central.
Well, the biggest city in Trinidad is not Port of Spain, it's Chaguanas. People,
Well, yeah, try getting around there now.
and it's been like that since 1990. You know, that has
After
been
the
the case
coup.
since
After the coup,
1990.
yeah.
Yeah. The biggest city in Trinidad is Chaguanas, not Port of Spain. You know, but we are acting as though Port of Spain is where
But
it
you
is.
know,
People, I
everything
mean,
is
people go
designed
there in
to
the
flood
day
into Port of
to
Spain.
work.
It's
Yeah,
designed to
they
flood Port of Spain.
that's right.
So
Everybody goes there to work, so it seems like there's a lot of people. But after 4 o'clock and everybody leaves, it's a ghost town. Yeah.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, we have
So
quite a bit, but I want the guys to meet with you, Cook, in Trinidad. I want them to meet up with you when Ken comes back to Trinidad. Suman is already there, and I want them to physically meet with you, and we could go over some of these things. You know.
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Also, Cook, we're working on a flood mitigation plan for the Diwali Nagar. I didn't like what I saw there during the Diwali Nagar celebrations, where he plays flooding and stuff. And Gary and I have been talking about it. So we should have something soon to propose with regards to
Yeah.
remediating that
Yeah.
flooding problem there.
We also have a
Now, I mean,
Manzalina
now,
stretch. Yeah.
thankfully, now I have to say this too. I mean, although that was bad, but thankfully it drained off very quickly. And you see
Yeah.
this all over. You know, my fiance is in Penal, and down in Penal side, you know, it flooded all the time. And in the rainy season, the dredging that this government has been able to do has made it so that a downpour that may have cut them off for a day or two, an entire day or two, they could be cut off. Regularly, that would happen. You know, in just an hour or so, the thing is gone. You know, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Even in that, how much we have done as a government. You know, these massive floodings are a thing of the past. So yes, we do have the flash flooding, but it runs off quickly now. It runs off quickly. So we still have more work to do, obviously.
Yes. So
But
you know,
we
we have a
haven't
lot of
finished.
plans.
We've
Another
done
suggestion.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah, another suggestion we have about, you know, like creating water storage, expanding the retention, but also connecting those retention with Wassa holding, making it like Wassa storage place. So we withdrawing the
Strategic
water.
reserves.
Right. Beside the basic cleaning, we talking about creating retention. In like, you know, even like when you see in Florida, you will see a retention area into a park.
That's exactly. They could be recreation areas, family ground, all sorts of things. I mean, people when you fly over Florida and you watch it, you're seeing ponds, because that is swampland. Florida is swampland that they turned in, you know, like Carney, like Invaders Bay, that they like Port of Spain. Port of Spain as well is reclaimed. The lighthouse actually used to be in the sea, right?
It's below sea level. Florida is below sea level. I've been living there 35 years, I can tell you.
Yeah, and so every development has to have that sort of lake and around that pond, and they have ducks in it and so forth, and it becomes a nice area, and that is what civilizations have done all from the beginning of civilization, right? So China, they developed all the canals and in the rice paddies and fields, and that is how Egypt, with the overflowing of the Nile, they developed the canals and this engineering, right? Engineering is the basis of civilization there. Without that, it's just, you know, disaster. You're living like a primitive person. And that's how the PNM had this country, living like primitive people, not like civilized people, right? And that's what we need to do. So we need to have civilized engineering works, civilized construction. That is what civilization is. When you go to, you know, the old world and you go to like Syria or Jordan or China or India or Egypt or whatever, or Rome, it's the engineering works, it's the buildings, it's, you know, that is what a civilization is, and that's what we need to build right here.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have to leave you all. It was a pleasure, and I'll come back. I'll try to come back more regularly, and maybe we could even review like in my WhatsApp in my WhatsApp channel where I have all the day's activities. Because every day, as I said, like 20, 30 news stories on things
Right, right.
that we're doing. We could just, you know,
Definitely.
review it and see what are we doing? What are we doing right now? Because
Yeah, right.
this is
So
a government that works hard.
even for a few minutes, Crook, any updates, any kind of breaking news and stuff, just tell Gary, send me a link, and in 2 minutes you're up and going. All right.
All
So
right, good. So we can do that.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Crook, for taking the time to join us.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Take care.
Kurt, I'll
Thanks.
shout you
Bye.
over the
Yeah, and
weekend.
let Suman and Ken meet up with you in Trinidad.
Definitely.
Okay. All
All right
right.
Yes.
then. Thanks.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Okay, gentlemen, back
Yeah,
to
Gary.
the crime talks. Captain Singh.
Captain Singh is in the house.
Yeah, he's in the
Yep,
house.
I saw him a
So
while ago.
I'm not sure you got a chance to review the invasion bill passed in the parliament there, and in the was being dealt in the Senate. We had Cook made some representation there. Let's see. Maybe you could give us a little comment. But I want to show you this video. I'm not sure if you saw it before. Alvin, take a look at this.
His son only tried to rob you, and you took his life. That was an abuse of force, Chandler. You must pay for this.
A military veteran has been charged with murder after shooting and killing 3 teenagers who broke into his home. The parents of the teens are now demanding that the court sentence the veteran to death. According to police in Georgia, the 3 masked teens showed up at the veteran's house around 3 p.m. They kicked in the front door and entered the home to rob it, unaware that the homeowner was a former soldier. The veteran opened fire as soon as they entered. One of the teens fired back, triggering a violent shootout. A neighbor, startled by the gunfire, immediately called 911. When officers arrived, they found all 3 teens shot multiple times in the head and chest. Paramedics pronounced all 3 dead at the scene. Later, family members confirmed that among the dead were 2 brothers, ages 15 and 16. After the autopsy report revealed that a total of 28 bullets had been recovered from the teens' bodies, their parents were furious, calling the homeowner's actions beyond excessive. They insisted the shooting was brutal and demanded that prosecutors charge the veteran with murder and seek the death penalty. The homeowner, however, maintains that he acted in self-defense and that his life was in immediate danger. Under Georgia's self-defense and stand your ground laws, authorities determined that his actions fell within the bounds of lawful self-defense. This veteran once fought to defend his country. Now alone in his own home, he fought to defend himself. Do you think this was justified self-defense, or did he go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments.
So, Captain Singh, as you know, we've been seeing a lot of these similar situations in Trinidad. So we want to get your input on views on these things, yeah, especially with the laws being passed now in Trinidad. If you give us a little, input on your point of view.
When I studied criminal justice at the University of Georgia Southern, we had to study the castle law. And within the castle law, there is stand your ground law. So it's known in Georgia, this state of Georgia, that the home is a castle. If anyone were to attempt to burglarize the house, these 3 men, they went armed, and the homeowner being a veteran, that's another story. This state has a lot of veterans, and they are trained, and he doesn't have to fire a warning shot. He made the determination that that he was going to act in a more aggressive manner, and he killed them. And you can tell from the way it was done, if he shot them in his head, that would have been, it's military tactics. So we all know this. It's a deterrent. If you enter someone's premises, you will be shot in the house. If they're fleeing away, you can't shoot them, obviously. So the house itself becomes the castle. And I was looking at the parliament debate between the government and the opposition. And I haven't seen any credible arguments by the opposition, the PNM opposition. One person in particular, Keith Scotland, his contribution made no sense whatsoever. The Attorney General said that the homeowner don't have to wait to make that determination. Once you enter the home, you don't know what that person is going to do. And that's your deterrence. Deterrence will stop the crime. So if everyone knows what the law is, don't go into someone's home. And that's how I feel about it. Here in Georgia right now, my house is open. I leave my house open. I leave the keys in the ignition. I don't have to worry about anyone stealing anything. No one steals here. Now, if you go to a different part of Georgia, maybe Atlanta in some communities, you will find there is stealing, there's crime, there's gun crime. Where I live here in Guyton, Georgia, there's very little of that. But we did have some shootings downtown within the malls, and that is a subset of the people here. Some young African Americans, they were in the Oglethorpe Mall and they did some shooting and killed some people. They've all been arrested and they're before the courts as we speak. I do support the standing ground legislation under the castle law. I understand how it's worded. Like I said, I have spent about 6 months on that topic here. So we would know as police officers and as maybe agents that when we do enter someone's home, what to expect. Gary?
Yeah, go ahead. We're listening to you.
Yes.
Ken, if you guys have any questions, jump in. I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
Captain Singh, I mentioned previously that because a lot of people who are going to be acquiring legal FULs in Trinidad, right? They have to have that mindset to be able to shoot a 12 or 14-year-old child. Because if you don't take that position to defend yourself, you will end up dying. And a lot of people might see it difficult to shoot a 12-year-old or 14-year-old. But once that 14-year-old has a gun, it changes the whole dynamics there. It's either you live or they die, right? So talk about the mindset. I know you're a person with close to 20 years of military experience. You've been all over the world, from Kosovo to Afghanistan, and you've been in some serious battles. I mean, we don't want to talk about it, over the airways here. But talk about that mindset that you have to have when defending yourself against any type of threat, regardless of age.
Now, if you're out in public, if you're out in your yard, you can walk away. You can walk away and close your door. You can. But when you're in your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, you're not going to think. That mindset is I shoot and I kill and I eliminate the threat. Now, you don't double tap the person. You've seen on the news they were talking about when they dropped the bomb on the fishing boat, the drug boat. There's some controversy here with the Democrats if it was a second round to kill everybody. But no, we don't do that. Once that person is disabled, completely disabled, you don't have to kill that person. So if it's 12-year-old, yeah, I know it's they could have taken your life, yes, but no, we're not gonna do that. How do you get to that point? The people in Trinidad and Tobago, they have been suffering a lot with crime, and there's a fear that's set in. And many of the homeowners, we don't have a way of defending ourselves. Now that the government is giving us the rights to bear arms, and we're going to go through that process where we get the psychological evaluation and everything, and you have your weapon, you have your X amount of rounds that goes with it, then you're not going to have to get a lot of training with that. I think a couple of days ago, someone left a weapon in a purse. It has to be strapped onto you and kept on you. If that's what you're going to have in your home, it becomes part of you. it's natural to me now because it's been since 1997 I've been carrying some sort of weapon with me. Here at home in Georgia, no, I've separated everything out because I have two kids. That's another thing that homeowners going to have to be careful with children and where they're going to lodge that weapon when it's not being used. We also have restrictions here on where we can take it. You can't go in bars, you can't go in churches and some public places, no weapons you can go in. So you're gonna have to stay away from those places. But the mindset you were asking about, it has to be developed. I can't speak for the people there in Trinidad and Tobago. Do they have the mindset to kill someone? They gotta understand it's their life or their family's life.
And that's a critical point, because when I was doing my training in Trinidad, very very competent expert instructor, he told us that we sitting on in a little ring there, little get we recap on the days, shooting and practice and stuff, and he told us, he said, today the kids are playing video games, right? And they have a gun in their hand and they feel as though they're in a video game, right? They can walk up to you, they shoot you, and it doesn't affect them. So when you encounter someone like that, right? Some people might hesitate and say, "Oh my God, this is a child." Do you see a child there, or do you see a threat? So
And
that is what we have.
there
That's
is
the hurdle that we have to get over,
yourself
right?
and the
And
family
the,
that you are gonna protect.
yeah, and Captain Singh, you made a very good point. We have to train ourselves to get to that point. Yeah, so go ahead.
I have a family that came up here a couple years ago, and we have a farm. It's 45 acres, and we went out to the back. And it was a simple handgun.
Alvin, you're
Glock.
coming kind of muzzled. I don't know. Check your mic.
Oh, can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yeah, I'm hearing you better. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went to the backyard in the on the estate there, and we did some shooting. So getting the right weapon for women is very critical. Um, I would get something that a man could use in the house, and also a woman and train everyone to use it. So after my aunt, she's about 4'9", she fired off. It was a Glock, and it was pretty small, nice and neat and compact hands. So that's something I would
You're going back
recommend.
muzzle, Alvin. Check your
I'm
mic.
having
I
a
don't know
weapon
why
for
your
sure.
phone is
I will check your mic.
yeah, you're getting
Yeah,
muzzled. I don't know.
Yeah, let me call and I'll come back in.
Yeah, maybe your
Yeah,
data wherever you is located there is a little bit
Yeah.
not flowing right there.
Yeah, is this better?
That's much better.
Yeah. So so I was saying that choosing the right weapon for the family. If you have something that's too big, only a man can use, and everyone should be able to train. And if you have the ability to come to the United States, there are open ranges here, especially in Georgia, where you can go on the military base and do some shooting if you know someone. There's a couple of ranges that's really good. You can try all the long range weapons and short range weapons, and I would recommend it. It's a lot cheaper to shoot here than this to shoot in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. And then also the type of training where you are taught how to clear a room, right? All these different techniques.
But remember, speaking of training, right? Remember, most of our people was not allowed to have weapons or subject. There was so much fear with Eric William, in the sense that we were denied that kind of opportunity. I mean, most of our people didn't know how to use a gun, or even I never even saw a gun in certain aspects. You know what I mean? But except when you do see it was with the police or the Coast Guard or somebody had it, and you was in such a fear. So we grew up with that psychological block there that we would need to walk around that. So I mean, there's a lot to be done with training and stuff like that.
Yeah, but Captain Singh made a
Yes.
very good point here. Woman has to the woman have to have the right piece of equipment that they can maneuver it. They're
Yeah,
comfortable with
you
it.
know,
The
it's something that they
ergonomics.
could use easily. You know, you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to look at the ergonomics, and also you have to train your mind. Also, you could have the weapon, but if your mind is not trained, it defeats the purpose. You will get yourself killed.
I think a lot of women in Trinidad depend on their husbands uh, for that protection in the home. And I think if we're talking about the people for home invasions in Trinidad and Tobago, that the women, they should have a lot of training where the weapon is being kept, because most of them are going to be home alone or while the husband's at work with kids. So they themselves should be trained and trained well. Um, and also, a lot of weapons, the safeties come off. So they should also look at that. Safety is very important where they're going to put it. If you know you have the safety coming off, you can have an accidental discharge, and that's quite dangerous in itself. So it's not just having a gun for that one time that an invasion may happen and the sense of safety, but also the weapon itself is quite dangerous, and that's part of it also.
Well, I guess it will come with the the entire homeowners and all the members. You know,
well, we
with the
need to get to
training.
that point where we organize training. The training really has to be
Yeah,
structured. Gun safety.
definitely, definitely.
How do you function if someone comes in your house? I mean, you just can't fire helter skelter. You have your children around you. You have to practice this like a fire drill. You know, where you organize, like Dr. Ramrup was saying the other night. He has a plan, but I mean, you organize where with your family where to go, and then, you know, I mean, when people panic, they're going to run in the line of fire. So you have to be able to maneuver yourself, think for
Well,
yourself, think for the children around you.
yeah. Well, Gary, not only in the home. Remember last week or a couple days ago, you mentioned where the guy and his mom they were
Yeah,
eating a doubles
yeah, on the street, they were stopped to
on the
buy
street.
doubles. A prison officer, he ended up killing his own mother. So, so I mean, where and when to pull the gun. I mean, you have to also be conscious what's in front of you and around you. You just can't fire like that, not because you have a gun, you know. So, I mean, everything has to be well. It has to.
You have
It takes practice. You have to really
training, and
practice.
practice. Correct.
You have to practice a lot. I mean, because it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
come automatically like that.
But regardless of that, we have to arm the people, the law-abiding citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. And one thing I wanted to mention to Kirk was that we now have to look at how to make the application process more efficient, so we can get the legal guns into the hands of law-abiding citizens, so that they can protect themselves and no longer wear that hat or that or play that role as a sitting duck, waiting for these guys to invade their homes and violate their space. So that application process, I think it has to be revisited, and I would highly recommend that the responsibility of having one person, one COP, handle all of that application approval process for entire country. I think that's draconian, and it should be time efficient, and there should be a turnaround time attached to each application. So yeah, so there's a lot of work there.
Well, Ken, I'll tell you this. I applied in 2015. I had the psychological evaluation done in Shoguanas, where KISS factory is. It's on that road the doctor was at. And one of the questions he asked me, he said, so if you were in the military, do you have PTSD? And that would exempt me from obtaining a weapon from that. But went ahead and it was that part was good, and it went on, and it was submitted for the handgun, the FUL. That's been since 2015. I was on the third floor, I think, or the fourth floor of the headquarters in Port of Spain, where the records are being kept. And then eventually a police officer came, a sergeant came looking for me, stopped, spoke to a person in my street, and inquired, and then he left. And that was the end of that. Never received the FUL. And now the new police commissioner said that anything that is within a certain age is going to be thrown out, and the process has to be.
So look at how this is this draconian or outdated, inefficient processes. That's almost 10 years. Within that 10 years, you could have probably gotten violated, robbed, or even killed, right? And you, I mean, I know your background, right? You can handle a pro system, right? High tech military equipment, and you can't get a FUL in a little place called Trinidad and Tobago to protect yourself when conducting business,
Right.
right?
And even with telling them, hey, listen, I'm ex-military, I'm here, I have business concerns here, and I will be here for a number of years. No, you got to wait the line. And then you had a couple of commissioners, and there was one in particular who did not like giving out those licenses. And everyone knows that you have to go to a particular gun school, and they pay a fee of some sort. That corruption kind of thing was there. Yeah, it could be gotten in a particular way, but this process now, hopefully, all of this is streamlined for the people who are living there and do need it.
Correct. And somebody is saying, "Oh, hold on a second. Why does a guy who's selling doubles need a gun?" Well, you know what? He's a law-abiding citizen, and his business is cash business. He brings home maybe $2,000 cash from the street, and he has to go to his home, right? So regardless of what you're doing, you're a law-abiding citizen. You have a right, and the law should protect you. And you should be entitled to have a legal firearm to protect yourself, your home, and your family.
Well, I have a question. Why does your wayward 15-year-old son need a gun and a sophisticated military grade gun? Why does your children roam the street with guns? Why do they have the privilege?
Gary, and here's the answer: because the people who are in power for the last 10 years failed the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. It's that simple. They failed them at the next level failure, right? 624 homicides last year, and 2 years prior to that.
But
right,
not only that, speaking of doubles people, how many doubles people have been robbed, very bold-facedly or killed, drive-by shooting. We had drive-bys on from a bicycle. Just imagine that.
Imagine that. So,
because every little punk out there, wayward people's son could have a gun, but the law-abiding citizens who try to get a gun to protect themselves, they can't have it. But your children could come and shoot down anybody.
We have a old saying here in the States: armed society is a polite society, right? And I believe if you're a law-abiding citizen, you fit all the criteria, right? The psychometric and stuff. You should be entitled to protect yourself and your family, and you should be entitled to have an FUL. The process currently is draconian, is corrupt, and it has to change, right? That responsibility, where the COP alone handles that, has to be shifted away from him. And we mentioned a committee, right, that could fast track this thing, these applications, and move the process forward in a timely, efficient manner. And that is what we need right now. Because you cannot have the stand your ground law say, yeah, okay, we could protect ourselves, but with what? A knife? You can't take a knife to a gunfight, right? So yeah.
A pepper spray to a gunfight, automatic weapon, AR-15. That made no sense to me. And I don't know if you can purchase that in Trinidad to date. The pepper spray legislation, if that was enacted, and if there's anybody carrying it down there, I have no idea.
Well, it has no pepper sauce restrictions, so use pepper sauce if you can't get pepper spray.
I think if the projectile is in a canister, you have a certain amount of pressure in it, so you could spray at a person from a distance. Maybe I did get pepper sprayed. The MPs they have pepper spray, and we get sprayed in our eyes, and it burns. It really burns. Some people, some people may or may not have that effect, but it had a effect on me for sure. It did, and I wouldn't want to get that in my eyes ever.
Yeah.
Long period of time.
Captain, I want to kind of shift here a little bit, but along the same subject. We saw 15 Coast Guard boats parked and idle. They said they have diesel and stuff. Now I know these vessels. When if you look at these vessels in the video, there, these are pretty big vessels. A lot of the drugs, once they cross that gulf and they get into the swamp, right? That's an area where the police can't catch these guys because they maneuver through the swamp. Could we have some kind of skiff that's retrofitted with a crew system where they could go into the maneuver into the swamp and stuff? Any kind of equipment that's very agile?
Well, I've been in the Caroni Swamp, and I've been to Felicity, to where the cremation site is. So I've seen the channel in there, and it's not a very big swamp. Also down in Cedrus, I've been to Cedrus also, where the cows on the beach and everything. So the movement from smuggling on that side was allowed by the previous government because they made no attempts to stop it. One very piece of equipment was the blimp that was in Trinidad, and they had a sophisticated piece of camera on there which could see about 40 kilometers in distance, 360. And their camp was in Komoto. So they held no one for illegal quarrying. Illegal quarrying, the money will go into gang activities and other illicit activities. In Kosovo, we had illegal quarrying and all of that. And back in 2000, they were trying to stamp that out between 2000 and 2015. A lot of drug smuggling, prostitution, human trafficking in Kosovo. The same thing in Trinidad and Tobago. The previous government had assets and refused to use it. Now, those vessels that were parked up, I don't know what the capabilities of those are because I'm familiar with American-sized vessels, and our military is efficient in that if we have a mission and it comes from higher up, we will be patrolling and solving the issue of smuggling across the border between Venezuela on the western side. There was also a drug lord on the north coast, and he was murdered eventually up there on the north coast. So the drugs are not only coming from the east of Venezuela to the west and the swamp. They can go to Moruga, they can come all the way around to the other side. Or they can go to the north. So it's a 360 there that's happening. They can find an alternative method of doing it. Another way of doing it is taking a small airplane, flying low and dropping your load off, and someone picking it up. So right now we have surveillance. We have a radar in Tobago, and we also have numerous American aircrafts. One in particular that I do like, the Reaper, and that has a range. It'll sit about 40,000 feet, and it has a nice range with that camera I was talking about. So it can loiter for 72 hours up in the air. It's very silent. It's painted a kind of gray color, so it blends in with the sky. You don't know it's there. And at about 40,000 feet, it can take a picture of your number plate. That's how accurate this thing is. Mm-hmm. But right now, they have visibility, and that's where the SOFA agreement comes in. If we wanted to solve the crime, I don't know what the opposition is up in arms about. Every day, some negativity about this SOFA agreement with the United States. We've had SOFA agreements with a lot of countries. And right now, we have very little drug-related murders going on. We do have some happening, but it's not as frequent as it was 7 months ago when the previous government was there. So this is very good for Trinidad and Tobago because with our expenditure in national security, we don't have to do that anymore. all that money that we wasted with those 10 vessels, can we do something with them? Can they be sold? Can they be retrofitted? Can we be used? Uh, I don't know, because again, the national security minister and his team would have to look at the cost and efficiency of all of that, to be tracked on what they're going to do with it. But we wasted billions of dollars in national security, billions of dollars in court costs for medical. When these people kill, the state has to pay for all the medical care and also disposal and care of the bodies. A ripple effect with crime. All this money could go into education, tourism, infrastructure. So right now, with this United States looking at the north coast of Venezuela, it's really good for Trinidad and Tobago. This is the opportunity for the Prime Minister to reach out to the United States and ask for a lot of things, for aid in fixing Trinidad and Tobago. They have been in government for 7 months, and they have done more than the PNM has done in 20 years. And that's my
Correct.
take on.
On the screen there, we have a radar system that was strategically placed in Tobago. You want to say a few comment on that?
Yes. Now, I looked at it online, and we have several of those in the Army that we would use. And I'm not going to say what it's used for on this forum.
Yeah, no, take that off.
We'll just say that it is being used to aid Trinidad and Tobago and the United States in the fight against illegal drugs. How it does it, that would be classified. So that piece of equipment is a very good piece of equipment. It's mobile. It can be moved if it needs to be moved. Most likely, it'll have a power source that comes with it, which is usually JP8 or diesel, or it can be hooked up to live power. And the men that run it, they're really efficient at it. That's their job. And what we could not do with all the money that we spent, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the previous government, one little piece of equipment, and they should be ashamed of themselves. You see how little that thing is? When we talk about
like a little pickup truck.
Yeah, when about scam for drugs and arms coming through the ports of Port of Spain or in Point Lisas, there's a story that the workers are afraid of the radiation. Well, fire them. If you cannot do your job, then you cannot be here. Again, it's always a story that the people that are in charge, from it seems to me, they are aiding or they're part of the problem that drugs come in from Trinidad and Tobago. They most likely are benefiting from it, and that is when you start to see these silly excuses that's put forward. You think that could fly in America? I'm afraid to use the equipment because there is some sort of radiation. Well, you can't do your job. You have to go. Once the requirements are met, within reason, obviously, you have a choice. But a lot of the drugs we think will be coming through the swamps are actually coming through in containers. And in those containers or wherever they come from, the containers are not open and checked on the ports alone, which is time consuming. They're actually taken off site where an officer would go to inspect when it's being offloaded to make sure there isn't anything illegal in that. Now, offloading and unloading a container, 40-foot container, takes time. You have a big scanner, you just run through and you know what's in there. Why are they doing that? I think the United States had donated some scanning equipment that was never used, if I remember right.
Gary, I think Gary said they broke it or something like that. The delivery sabotage equipment.
Yes. So again, hopefully this new government that's in charge for the last 7 months, hopefully they rebuild the ports. The Port of Spain ports is very inefficient, lacks space, and that whole that whole piece over there, wherever they can get the space and remove the redundant license office and the homes that's squatting along the sea lots and those areas like that, should be taken back, and all of that should be expanded. So it's I did see that when Miss Jolene John gave her presentation, that was part of it, and I think it's exciting times for the next 4 years. All the development that's projected to happen. The only way for Trinidad and Tobago to come out of its malaise and low productivity is to diversify that economy, and no one has
That's
ever.
correct.
No one has attempted to do it. So hopefully, they can get it done.
Definitely, definitely. So we have a lot of work ahead, but right now we got to think about the security and safety, because crime would impact every sector or industry there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think with the United States helping with the surveillance, because I will tell you this, and I'm not afraid to say it on this forum. They have eyes on in the sky. There's nothing that's gonna move between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago, and they're not gonna know about it. I just saw a report that on the Eastern Pacific, another drug boat was destroyed and 4 people were killed. That's today. Happened sometime today. So that's on the Pacific side. So where they're not moving in the Caribbean, they are moving on the other side. So nothing is moving in and nothing is moving out. So it's a tight control on what's happening now. I haven't heard much about the gangs anymore. All of a sudden, the gangs are pretty quiet down there. The number gangs, the 6, the 7, and whatever else is down there. It's amazing all of that has gotten quiet. You take the drugs away, you take the guns away, and then you're gonna have a lot of unemployed people. We will see crimes happening, and I've seen some of it happen where they're attacking the people on the maxi taxis. So smaller petty crimes are going to happen because people are going to get desperate if their source of livelihood is taken away from them, and that's all they know. I don't know how you're going to change that cohort of people. How many? What the percentage is? If it's a large number, I don't know, but it's a significant number. And if you never got an education, you don't have a skill. What are you going to do now?
Right. Good point.
And if you look at the video from Christmas when he went into those areas, it's a lot of people. It was whole communities that he was showing on his videos. So what are they going to do when there's no way of getting any kind of money in their pockets, and they're just sitting out there? A lot of young men with nothing to do. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So we may see an uptick in some sort of smaller type of crimes where home invasions may happen with more frequency and people being robbed in these large public transportation. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think that now the Attorney General said that home invasion, you can get the death penalty for it. I don't know how it's worded in there, but again, that would be to act as a deterrent for someone from trying to commit a crime. Will that be enough of a deterrent, the punishment and the rewards that they're going to get from this?
I don't think that's enough. I mean, the law is good enough.
Foregone to what their life is. Not think about a
is
rational
needed.
choice, make a rational choice, and make an irrational choice, and continue to do crimes. So
people will become desperate.
Yeah.
They will have to survive. At the end of the day, Captain, people have to eat, right?
Yeah.
So they will want to go out and commit crimes, but of a different nature. Maybe they might see you on the street, they might mug you, grab your gold chain, or attack a tourist or something.
But it has to do with enforcement.
We did see one guy get killed in Tobago, and there's a story about that. We saw a number of maxi taxis being robbed. We saw a lady in Gasparillo being murdered. I think her throat was slit at her home, 74-year-old.
So yeah, I mean, while you have the big amount of drugs that's being passed through as a transshipment point, and that stopped. I don't know. We'll see. This new year after Christmas, Christmas is going to slow down because it seems as though, from what I'm hearing down there, everything is slow right now.
Well, I don't know. You guys hear me?
See,
No,
one
I don't
of
know if you can.
the contractor, one of the largest contractor, that he has stopped all work, I guess, from the 15th. But I think that's a normal practice with most companies. They shut down around the 15th of September, and then they start back up in January when the weather is a lot better too. So it's
Are you guys
interesting
hearing
time to
me?
see what happens.
Yeah, Gary, I'm
This
hearing you.
is
Okay,
new
okay.
ground because we haven't had the United States over watching us. We haven't had a government, this government and the UNC. They have not had this much seats in parliament to make decisions. It's not a minority government like we had before. So we have a lot of things going in our favor here. And we do have an agreement with the United States, and I think the Prime Minister has done the right thing,
Which we had to capitalize on,
with the
Yeah.
United States
And
in its training with the military and its efforts against the drugs and guns that was causing a lot of crime. And I think we could already see. I don't have any data in front of me, but I'm seeing less crime reported in the daily newspapers when it comes to drug activities in Trinidad and Tobago and mass shootings. Because I think last year, or the year before, you were seeing a lot of people being shot while they were driving. I think somewhere in Valsing, where they were shooting each other from the airport or something, chasing each other. All that is grind to a halt.
Yeah.
So
It was like the Wild Wild West last year.
we do have some murders happen, but I think it was crimes of passion. So those are different from what we're talking about here, which is drugs and criminal
But
activities, turf
but
wars, and
mm.
and such.
But
Ken,
if I want to
Gary,
ask the question,
any
right?
questions?
Yeah, question. The U.S. presence, we've seen a dramatic reduction, right? So that's a positive. Now, the drug industry, this cocaine industry, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? Spanning the entire globe. So this is not going to go away anytime soon. Seeing the impact the U.S. has in the region, what is your opinion on a permanent presence in Trinidad, like in the form of a U.S. naval base in maybe Icacos, to help us control that transshipment point there and continue that fight on drugs? What is your opinion on that? What are your thoughts?
Avi, you're not
Captain, you can
hearing
hear
him?
me?
Somehow something wrong with this internet there. Check your mic, Avi. Not hearing you.
Captain, you can hear me?
The crime fighting plan so far, I can say, is this. 1, split the Ministry of National Security into the Ministries of Justice, Homeland Security and Defense. That's what we did. Dismantle the state funding of gangs. That's what we did. Allow the Police Service Commission's first choice to become the Commissioner of Police instead of interfering and manipulating. Demonstrate political will in the face of opposition to progress and opposition to radars. Support the people's rights to self-defense, as we are doing today. 6, support international assistance in fighting drug trafficking in the Caribbean. 7, deal decisively and strongly with criminal plots and threats to national security. So far, all this has brought the fastest and largest reduction in crime and murder that this country has ever experienced in history. This is not theory. We're not asking you to hope. We have already delivered this, and more yet to come. Already, over 200 lives have been saved from murder this year. We are no longer in the top 10 most violent countries in the world. This is incredible. No other government in the history of our country has kept and fulfilled so many promises. Not only in the entire term, but in just 7 months. I heartily congratulate the Honourable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar for having the vision, the tenacity, and the determination to stick to her word, bring down murders by 46%, and bring an unprecedented level of safety to Trinidad and Tobago. Immediately after experiencing the highest murder rates in our history in the years 2000 and 2022, that's 603 murders. 2023, we had 575, and 2024, 624 murders. This is astonishing. This is nothing short of miraculous. And we must appreciate this historic achievement. They like it where the criminal had more rights than the child he traumatized, where the victim, after surviving the unthinkable, could wake up the next day and find police waiting for them, not to protect them, but to question them. This is fundamentally wrong. Every one of us feels it in our bones, in our souls. That era of injustice, of enforced victimhood, ends today. Today we recognize home invasion as a crime, deserving severe punishment. Today, this Parliament says that victims have God-given, inalienable natural rights that will no longer be denied to them by us lawmakers. Today we say that citizens will no longer be punished or threatened with punishment for surviving. And let it be known, without apology, never again will the innocent be treated like the criminal. Never again will victims be made to feel handcuffed in their own homes. Never again will we let this injustice reign. Home invasions are particularly traumatic crimes, and it deserves its own category of crime. We cannot collect statistics on these crimes if the offense doesn't exist. And we all know that what gets measured gets done. I rise today in defense of something older than Parliament, older than law, older than even the state itself. The God-given natural right of every human being to defend oneself and one's family, to feel safe in one's home. For too long in this country, the scales of justice have been tilted grotesquely against the law-abiding. This is not only unjust, it is immoral. For decades, we protected the rights of criminals more than the rights of victims. This bill corrects that unjust imbalance. No other government in the history of our country has kept and fulfilled so many promises, not only in the entire term, but in just 7 months. I heartily congratulate the Honourable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar for having the vision, the tenacity, and the determination to stick to her word, bring down murders by 46%, and bring an unprecedented level of safety to Trinidad and Tobago, immediately after experiencing the highest murder rates in our history in the years 2000 and 2022, that's 603 murders. 2023, we had 575, and 2024, 624 murders. This is astonishing. This is nothing short of miraculous. And we must appreciate this historic achievement. When we go back in history, we see that the American colonists, the French revolutionists, the Haitian revolutionaries created the basis for our modern world because they realized that God Himself, not governments, not kings, God Himself had given us natural rights and freedoms. And governments were immoral and unjust when they took these rights away from us or suppressed them. These are the revolutionary ideas of the modern democratic age. And we here, as lawmakers, must never take away or restrain these God-given natural rights. It is for us lawmakers to recognize and protect them. This is what republicanism is all about, protecting the God-given natural rights of individuals. And this is what we here today are called to do. They like it where the criminal had more rights than the child he traumatized, where the victim, after surviving the unthinkable, could wake up the next day and find police waiting for them, not to protect them, but to question them. When we go back in history, we see that the American colonists, the French revolutionists,
Captain Singh, are you hearing us?
Captain Singh?
I don't think he's hearing us. So Ken, I guess we can close up at this point here. I don't know what's going on with his system there.
Yeah, he's probably getting some
Yeah.
system malfunction.
Are you hearing me, Alvin?
Yes.
I don't think he's hearing us at all.
Alvin, you can hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, so we will close up for tonight. And I don't know if you guys, we will see what has happening tomorrow. We'll talk and see if there's something we want to do
Yes,
tomorrow.
we'll see what comes on the agenda.
Yeah, in the country also. You and I will talk tomorrow
Definitely.
also on what's taking place. So I want to thank everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Gary, again.
Yeah, we'll continue the information and education. Let me see if he's coming back in there for 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Like, hold on. Alvin, you hearing us?
Oh, he's there.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Ken was
Super.
asking you a question for a while and he wasn't able to respond. So go ahead, Ken, ask those questions.
What was the question I was asking him? Oh, yes. Gary and I have exploited this potential proposal. Now, seeing that the U.S. presence in the Caribbean and especially around Trinidad has a major impact on the illicit drug trade, right? I mean, say we have probably never seen this kind of success, with the price of drugs, even with the shortage of drugs, illegal drugs in Trinidad. I've heard that the price quadrupled for marijuana and all this other stuff. Having said that, would you be in agreement with a permanent presence in Trinidad in the form of a U.S. naval base, maybe somewhere in Icaca, somewhere around there? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, pro-American. But let's take that part out. We in Trinidad and Tobago, for the last 50 years, we have not been able to, under the governments that came before, which is predominantly the PNM, solved anything with transshipment of uh, drugs, guns, and human trafficking. It has never been uh, stopped because it's so corrupted. In most third world countries, they are very corrupt. Uh, Kosovo, when we were in South Korea on the DMZ, we didn't see that there because we had a presence of the Americans with the South Korean army. So there was very little activity about that. Kosovo, when we went in, it was divided up in sectors by different nations. So we were with the Russians in a particular area, and there was a lot of criminal activities going on, and that was being facilitated by the Russians. It was allowed to continue, but the Americans, they have their specific rules that come down to the soldiers in their operations order, and that's what we're going to follow. By having a base, a naval base, would be a very good thing for Trinidad and Tobago because it would take off the financial burden. And also, you cannot bribe the United States officers. So that will also be taken off. So there will be that corrupted officials. And that's what's happening throughout the Caribbean islands, all the way up. A lot of drugs are being shipped to Europe and to the United States. When we were in Afghanistan, a lot of the heroin was being shipped through two countries in the north of Afghanistan, to Russia and to Germany and to other European countries. So the only way for that to stop in Trinidad and Tobago, which will reduce the crime there, because you won't have the gangs. There's nothing to be peddled on the streets. There's no guns. There's no turf war. So yes, with their surveillance technology, if we were to have a SOFA agreement and they were to aid us with their aircraft in surveillance, it would definitely help with the local people doing the enforcement of the interdiction when they get that information and intelligence on what they're going to do. So yeah, I do think that that a lot of training could happen with the United States. But in fact, the National Guard out of Delaware is mirrored with Trinidad and Tobago. So they will have joint training. I think almost every year they would have some kind of training with Trinidad and Tobago. But this today, what we see in with the United States President is much larger than just National Guard. We do have several ships out there and a lot of airplanes, a lot of aircrafts flying above.
Yeah, Alvin, but what I'm thinking along, and I've been thinking along a while, I must have mentioned it to you, is to have the U.S. Navy. You see, like what happened in Paris area, that we was not capable of doing it, responding. In fact, them guys was dumbfounded when that situation happened with those divers.
Oh, yeah.
Our people,
So,
we need a real naval base in Trinidad set up
well,
to train our Coast Guard, and not also to keep them guys in check. Because let me tell you,
but
you get them all the
Overwatch,
training, you give
yes.
them all the training, and they're going to go back to the norm. You leave them
Well,
alone.
again, that temptation is there. Um, why would why would you be tempted? A lot of people are tempted by money. They may think that the amount of money that they have, the salary is not sufficient for the lifestyle that they want. So, in the United States military, we are paid well. We have a lot of benefits. So a lot of us also have a moral oath that we take that we don't break it. I mean, some people they do break it, but in general, um, that's what it is. But uh, I want to talk a little about that Paris incident. I was flabbergasted that no one asked for international help. We have international partners that could have had. Um, we could have people in Trinidad and Tobago uh, within 4 or 5 hours.
Less
And
than that from Puerto Rico. You could get people within an hour from Puerto Rico or less. All right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and
I
and
thought that.
and 36 hours them guys remain in the pipe, Alvin. I mean, we
I,
didn't even ask Venezuela, who we so in touch with. We didn't even ask Venezuela.
I watched that entire weekend. I think it was a holiday weekend, carnival weekend, and I saw one particular PNM minister. He assured the family members that everything was being done to save the divers in that pipe, and the person, it's on video, it's online, and if it's being erased, someone will have it, they can post it. That individual bent over and snickered and laughed, and he became a very short-lived prime minister. And I was rather flabbergasted by that. And it's beyond me. When it was international news, we had a rescue of some students, of some little children in a cave in Thailand or Bangkok, somewhere out there. So there were experts uh, who could have given um, some assistance with that. And I was surprised no one reached out. And up to date, um, there's been no payment for the loss of life for those men. And no matter how much money it is, the prime minister never came down to that point. With a national tragedy like that, he should have been on site. The one that's retired in Tobago now in some sort of farm. That's the one I'm speaking of. It's mind blowing that 13 people were still voted back into office. I can never understand how that happens, but yeah, going back to the question of some sort of presence within the military, the Navy, I do agree. I think from the success that you've seen now, we do need it. And those 12 vessels that are parked up over there, I think the government should look at either getting them back on track, and if we don't need 12, we dispose of what we don't need, instead of having them sitting out there deteriorating to some point. Because for the money that were spent on those vessels, I remember they had gone to Australia to get some vessels, and they made their transaction, and it was built in some part of Vietnam, in the middle to south of Vietnam. There's a yard that's outsourced, so it was built over there, and then it was sent over to Trinidad and Tobago. I never heard how it operated, but I almost certain it was just parked up and nothing came of it. But I think all of it, this new government should follow the money trail and figure out how these things were acquired, and if there's any corruption in those transactions, those people should be taken before the courts. With those, Gary.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was giving you guys. So we're gonna wrap up tonight, pretty much.
Okay.
All right, guys. So tomorrow night, I'll let you guys know if we're doing anything. Let's see what develops in the country within tomorrow. I think the Senate is supposed to meet. So we'll talk. Thank you, everyone, for
all right,
listening.
But before we run off, remember, in December of 1989, the United States went into Panama to take out Manuel Noriega. It was a 30-day intervention. So all the people out there, America has a history of doing things over and over. So I would be keeping my ear to the news and seeing what's happening. But
I'll get my popcorn.
But if anything were to happen, I can assure you nothing is going to happen in Trinidad and Tobago.
No. Listen, I think the U.S. is setting things up. All the drama there about this and that happening. The U.S. is going to strategically put things in place. You're a military man. You know that they could shoot down any missile coming in our direction. with the kind of assets that they have there. The radar will also help with that. So the more radars we have, is the best for we. But I think they are mounting the assets to convince Maduro to give up peacefully. That's between the U.S. and them. But as far as Trinidad is concerned, I am just happy to have the extra assets in the Caribbean and within our waters to kind of put some restraint on the activity that was taking place there.
Yes.
But I'm looking forward so that we can get some training from the U.S. and equipment wise. I think we have a lot in store with the way things are going, and we just have to counterattack any kind of misinformation, far from our end as best as we can. All right,
Okay,
guys. So
so
good night. Thank you
all right,
very
guys.
much.
Good night. Thanks a lot.
Ken,
Take care,
we'll talk.
guys.
All right, Albert, we'll talk.
Yeah.
Okay then. Thanks, man.
Okay then. Thanks. Bye.
Good night, everybody.